well. So today I'm going to talk about how to never dread a conversation again. Now, how often have you had those tricky conversations, those challenging conversations that you've either had to have or you've completely avoided them? Well, I'm going to share some tips with you to say that you never have to dread it again. Now, to start with, the first tip I would say to you, there is no such thing as a tricky conversation. It's all the energy we give it that makes it tricky. If we go in with the energy, it's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have great connection. It's going to go really well. Our energy is completely different than if we go into it thinking it's going to be challenging and tricky. So that's the first tip. The second tip is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the drama triangle. Now, you might well know this extremely well, or you might have never heard of it before. I think this is a fantastic tool that can transform all sorts of conversations. So we all take on various roles, and you might have heard about getting your wires crossed. This is because we flipped between being an empowered adult, which is where we want to be most of the time. This is when we're a great leader, when we're looking after our teams, we're on the top of our game, and we're showing up as our powerful self. So that's the empowered adult. Then we slip into parent. Parent can be great because it's the nurturing parent, the how are you, how are things going, how can I support you? And then it can be the critical parent, do that deadline. That's not so great. And that is where bullying can come in later down the line. And then we have the child. So the child want the fun stuff, the sense of humor, the thing that makes life really great each day. We need lots of that too. We can slip into the petulant child, which is like the toddler. Stand on your feet. I'm not going to do that. And how we talk about getting our wires crossed, and this is where I love why these things come from, is because wires crossed is when you've got when you're in parent role and you're communicating with someone in a petulant child role, or vice versa. And literally, if you think about adult to adult, parent to parent, child to child, when you're both having fun, it's awesome. When one of you is really angry and frustrating, that's not fun either. So that's where the lines are crossing, where you're in different roles with somebody else at the same time. And that's where things go awry in communication. So in the extreme level, what happens is the critical parent moves into persecuting. And this is all roles we're playing. Of course, you don't have to be a parent to do this. It's just simply the roles we slip into. And then the child slips from being petulant to feeling a real victim. And bullying is when you've got a persecutor attacking someone who feels a victim. Now, the great news of this is once you change roles and go back to being an empowered adult, it can't happen any longer. And add to the complexity of the persecutor and the victim, in comes the adult, which rather than behaving as an empowered adult, slips into the rescuer. Oh, he's not like that normally. He normally is really nice. Oh, don't be too hard on him. He's having a tough time. Whatever that goes in. And then it goes round and round in circles. And once you understand this, the roles that we slip into, it can absolutely transform our transformation, because once we have the awareness, we can actually do something about it. And if you look around you, I guarantee you'll see in all different avenues, boardroom particularly, oh my goodness, it's like a theatre of stress sometimes. And that is because the drama triangle is absolutely at full. And you'll see people protecting each other, saving each other, attacking each other, feeling a victim. It just goes round. It could be at home when you're emptying the dishwasher. It can be anywhere. It can be in the supermarket queue when somebody jumps in front of the queue and you think, oh, hang on a minute, there's a queue here. Go back. And the way people behave, they suddenly take on these roles. The great news is that you can move into the winner's triangle, where we get out of that persecutor, victim, rescuer mode, and then we become creative. We start thinking, how can I make this better? We become a creative, our own coach. What do I need to do next to make this a better situation? And the great news about that also is once we then move back up to empowered adults, the drama triangle's broken. Because if a persecutor is attacking someone and it's bouncing off them, they're not responding, the persecutor will stop behaving like that because they're not getting the result that they want. Now, so much of this is subconscious. So much we don't intend to have a mad day. We always wake up to have a great day. We don't wake up to have a mediocre day. Sometimes things just go awry. So that's a second tip about having an understanding of the drama triangle. And if you want to know more, please put a message in the chat and I can send you some more information about it, because it is transformational once we understand and watch how people role play. The other thing is managing our energy. Now, if you know me well, I'm all about energy. I'm all about being in the right energy to be on the top of our game. So what do you need to do to get yourself in the right energy? So I've already talked about the triangle transformation in previous lives, but this is so important when you're getting into a conversation that you think might be tricky. So notice what your body's doing. If you need to have a conversation, have it standing up if you can. If you're going for a walk is a great way to have a conversation, because you're naturally up and you're moving, and that increases your energy and therefore your sense of confidence and your resilience. Notice what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on, this is going to be a great conversation, we're going to have a really great discussion? Or are you focusing on all that awful language? It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be a challenge. Oh my goodness, I don't know what to say. Because we get more of what we focus on. So if we think it's going to be a nightmare, it will be a nightmare. If we think, wow, it's going to be amazing, we're going to have a great conversation, you will have a great conversation. So that's the focus. And also the other thing is, what is the language you're using? And this is when language in communication is so vital, because we can be very defensive. So do your best to avoid why, because why can feel really attacking. Why did that happen? Why did you do this? Why? That can feel really defensive. So switching it to a how question and a what question can be great, because that gives possibility and it can reduce the stress of that conversation. So notice the language that you're using. And the other thing is, when you're having a discussion, focus on what you want to discuss, not bringing in all other stuff. What happened 20 years ago? What happened last week? And this happened and this happened and this happened. Focus on what the question you're asking in this conversation. What is the intention of this conversation? And let all that other stuff that might have happened in the past, she did this and he did that and blah, 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 let that go, because that is not relevant to this conversation and it makes it way more complicated. And then that's another reason why things go awry. So what else can you do? And it's all about empathy. It's all about seeing it from the other person's point of view. And the other tip I would say is, if somebody's going through a traumatic time, then don't ever say, and I don't like to use the word don't, because I'm all about what you do and not what you don't. But I think this is really important. I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly how you feel. No one knows how anybody feels. You can be going through exactly the same circumstance, and how one person interprets it and one person feels it is going to be very different. So just to show a bit of empathy is saying things like, I can't imagine what you're going through, or it must be so tough for you right now. That is showing you understand it's tough for them, but you're not saying, I know exactly what you're going through. And it's that kind of conversation that can really encourage great communication. And also matching body language, building rapport. Building rapport is so important, because once we have that rapport, we have that know, like, and trust. And so what can you do to build on that rapport? And it could be having a bit of a sort of preliminary chat before the main conversation kicks in. What have you been doing today? Or I love your jacket. Or, just something, and actually matching body language, because that builds rapport. So, and concentrate on having that open communication, having your body open, not all scrunched up with your arms folded. And so that encourages the other person to match your good body language, and that can also help. So that's a few 10-minute tips. There's a huge amount I can share about how to have a great conversation. I'm doing this week, I'm doing a 4-day challenge. There's 3 days to go on how to have a great conversation, how to never dread a conversation ever again. I'll put the link in the chat below, because it's 12:30 UK time, just for half an hour. Today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join, because I'm sharing so many tips about energy, about language, about the drama triangle, about boundaries. That's another thing that's really important to think about. What are your boundaries in the conversation? Because we need to set our boundaries, stick to our boundaries, so we know that we're not going to be railroaded. So anyway, so there's my tips. So have a think about the drama triangle, your body language, what you're focusing on, and your posture, and what are your boundaries. And then every conversation can be a great conversation. So take care, have a good day, and I'd love to hear your comments. And if you want to know any more information, please comment below. Also, I've got my resilience scorecard, which helps you identify how resilient you are, and I guarantee you're way more resilient than you think you are, and I'll put that in the chat too. And just comment and I will send you, got lots more information if you'd like it. So take care, have a good day, stay safe, and look after yourself. Bye-bye.